Hi, this is my last blog on the Eastleigh by-election. This, as you know, the Conservatives were beaten into third place by UKIP. What a pity that about 1,500 Conservatives wasted their vote. If the Conservatives hadn't split the UKIP vote, there were a couple of thousand Conservatives, even 1,200 Conservatives, about 2,000 Conservatives hadn't wasted their vote by voting for Maria Hutchins, then we would now have the marvellous Diane James going to Parliament to represent people's views that don't get heard. Liberal Democrats won by a very narrow margin in what's probably one of their strongest seats. They have a massive organisation. They've got complete control of all the local authorities. They actually sent everybody round. Well, they sent me round, I think other people as well. They sent us a completed or partly completed postal vote form, which I used to vote UKIP. But you know, I'm just wondering whether that's really acceptable, that should happen. A quarter of the votes were cast postally, and UKIP actually won, I'm told, on the votes cast on the day. If it wasn't for the postal votes, which Lib Dems had a part in arranging for people to do. Anyway, this is interesting. I've heard some interesting stuff. I heard a radical communist chap on one of the blogs I'm looking at said he was glad that Labour had put forward an unelectable candidate, you know, a comedian with a hard left background who'd written some really hateful things about Margaret Thatcher, you know, wishing her dead and, you know, sorry that the RA bomb didn't kill her. You know, Norman Tebbit, who was severely injured and his wife was permanently disabled in that bomb, you know, said in his blog, you know, is he sorry that my wife wasn't more badly injured, and is he sorry I wasn't killed as well? That possibly you know, the brain dead communist Ed Miliband, who currently leads the Labour Party, may have put John O'Farrell forward knowing he was completely unelectable, so that Labour voters would tend to vote Lib Dem tactically. Well, it's just a shame that a few more Conservatives didn't tactically vote UKIP, because then they would actually have a Conservative representing them. But yeah, David Cameron isn't changing. He says, oh, it's a blip, you know, it's just a blip, it's a bit of midterm blues, blah, blah, blah. But actually a lot of people take this lady's view. A lot of people I spoke to, and I spoke to Danny Stupple today, who actually collected more votes than all the other also ran candidates together, and he stood on well, localism, but also very much on a Christian platform against the same-sex marriage thing. He says lots of Conservative voters he spoke to, and I found exactly the same. A lot of Conservative voters, people who normally vote Conservative, they thought, well, I'll be blowed if I'm going to vote for Conservative Party when David Cameron has just come forward with this proposal to completely redefine marriage. There's no need for it. It's not justifiable. It will do a lot of harm. It will damage the churches. Whatever assurances that they pretend to give, what will happen is, if it goes into law, on day one you will have homosexual activists outside every Anglican church in the country saying, we want to get married here. And either the church will say yes, in which case all of the Bible-believing Christians in the church will leave, or they will say no, in which case these guys will then start a campaign against the church and take us to the European Court of Human Rights. There's no money to fight that kind of legally aided, vexatious lawsuit. So this is definitely, the whole thing is definitely aimed at, as a dagger aimed at the heart of the Church of England for sure. It's completely unnecessary. UKIP took the policy, look, we accept homosexual people, we accept same-sex civil partnership, but we don't need to mess with the definition of marriage, so we'll stand against it. And that was a major factor in, it could be a bigger, I'd see if I care, but a major factor in people who would normally vote Conservative refusing to do so on this occasion. David Cameron has said, I'm not going to take any notice of this whatsoever. People are already beginning to sharpen the knives to stick him in his back and get rid of him, because frankly I've got no objection to there being one Liberal Party and one Socialist Party in this country, but we don't need three. Okay, we don't need three liberal socialist parties in the country. We do actually need a party that stands for old-fashioned common sense and conservatism, and UKIP is moving into that ground. So the next time there's a general election, Conservative voters, don't waste your vote on UKIP, don't waste your vote on David. I'm not going to re-record it just for that slip of the tongue. Don't waste your vote on David Cameron's blue Labour. If you want to vote Labour. But if you don't like paying £53 million a day to feed the Brussels Eurocrats, if you don't want 4 million Bulgarians and Romanians coming over here to take advantage of our healthcare system, and all the council houses we've got standing empty, yeah, and all that, and to compete with you and your children for low-paid jobs, then don't waste your vote on the Conservatives. Don't waste your vote on the deadbeat Conservatives. If only 2,000 people who hadn't, 2,000 Conservative voters hadn't wasted their vote on Maria Hutchins, we would now have a really needle-sharp, effective MP in Parliament representing the views of people who are fed up with the social revolution that we've been having under the last 15 years of Labour, which, as far as I'm concerned, is still continuing under shiny spiv David Cameron. So anyway, if you're a Conservative MP, do us all a favour, give David Cameron a knife right in the back where he deserves it.